Hello. Today we will discuss about the formation of a thesis statement, and we will discuss what is a thesis statement and what is its importance. So first of all, what is a thesis statement? It is basically a complex statement, and it defines the scope of your essay, and it limits the scope of your essay as well. So a thesis statement is basically a complex statement containing many ideas, and it is formed uh, by using phrases and clauses in a sentence. One more thing I would like to mention that thesis statement is a single statement, and you can use maximum two conjunctions in a thesis statement. If you use more than two conjunctions in a thesis statement, you are actually making a run-on sentence. And run-on sentence is an error in your essay writing. So whenever you make a thesis statement, a complex statement, keep in mind that you have to use maximum two conjunctions. And now we will discuss a thesis statement. Here uh, I have written this thesis statement on the topic of climate change. First of all, I will read it for you, and after that, I will explain you all the phrases and clauses I have used to make this complex sentence. So, let's first of all read it out. Climate change, a menace for this world, is occurring at a rapid pace owing to the cruelties inflicted by the mankind on this planet, resulting in global change in weather patterns. And Pakistan is among the countries that are getting affected from this phenomenon. Therefore, the world must act now to counter this threat by implementing climate friendly policies in order to save this planet from the negative impacts of climate change, which is mandatory for the survival of our future generations. So it's a complex statement, yes, and it contains only two conjunctions. The first one is and, second one is transition phrase, therefore. So you cannot use more than two conjunctions in a sentence, and this is called a proper complex sentence containing many ideas and phrases and clauses. So let's look into the ingredients of this thesis statement. First of all, the first phrase I have used is appositive phrase. Climate change, menace for this word. This is an appositive phrase defining this climate change is occurring at a rapid pace. So this is the first line in which I have defined about the climate change by using appositive phrase, owing to the cruelties inflicted by the mankind on this planet. So this is a participle phrase, and it is explaining the reason for climate change, cruelties inflicted by mankind. So the second line is a participle phrase explaining the reason for climate change. Now the third line is resulting in global change in weather patterns. So the third line is also a participle phrase, and it is explaining the impacts of climate change, change in weather patterns are the impacts of climate change. So in the first three lines, I have used appositive phrase, and participle phrase to define the climate change the very first line. In the second line, I have explained the reason for climate change, and the third line, I have explained the impacts by using phrases. And it's a single sentence and not more than one sentence. I have connected three ideas with the help of phrases. Now I have used the first conjunction, and this is the first conjunction I have used. It's a coordinating conjunction, and the coordinating conjunction connects two independent clauses. So Pakistan is among the countries that are getting affected from this phenomenon. So I have related the phenomenon of climate change with Pakistan. Why? Because you are writing essay on climate change, and you have to relate it to Pakistan because you are gonna appear in the competitive examination of Pakistan. So I have related it with Pakistan also in the fourth line, and I have used one conjunction here. So in the first four lines, I have given the idea of climate change in the first line. In the second line, I have explained the reason for climate change. In the third line, I have explained the impacts. And in the fourth line, I have related the climate change with Pakistan. Now we have to move towards the solution side. We have to give a solution, and we also have to reflect the solutions on future. So we have used a transition phrase here. Therefore, it's a transition phrase that connects ideas, and it's good to connect ideas with the help of a transition phrase. So now we have been moving towards the solution side. Therefore, the word must act now. The word must act now to counter this threat. The word must act to counter this threat, and this line to counter this threat is a purpose phrase. By implementing climate friendly policies, how world can act to prevent climate change? By implementing climate friendly policies in order to save this planet. Why we have to implement climate friendly policies? In order to save this planet from the negative impacts of climate change. This sentence, in order to save this planet, is an adverbial clause of purpose. Yes, this is a clause. Uh, now, we will move on. Which is mandatory for the survival of our future generations. And the last sentence I have used is I have given a reflection of the policies, climate friendly policies on our future generations, that it is mandatory for the survival of our future generations. This is a which clause? It's also called non-defining clause. So you see, you can see that I have used almost 10 types of sentences, 8 to 10 types, to compose my thesis statement. I have used appositive phrase, participle phrase, preposition phrase, participle phrase, quadratic conjunction, transition phrase, that clause, adverbial clause of purpose, purpose phrase, and which clause, to connect all the ideas in this single complex statement. And I have used maximum two conjunctions. And regarding the composition, I would like to mention one thing, that in the very first line, I have explained about the climate change. In the second line, I have discussed about the qualities, reasons for climate change. In the third line, I have reflected, given a reflection on the effects of climate change, weather patterns. In the third line, I have related with Pakistan, and in the fourth line, we move towards the solution side by using transition phrase. In the next line, we have given the solution, climate friendly policies, and the last two lines, we are discussing about the outcomes and future reflection. So this thesis statement is covering the problem. It defines the problem. It is defining, explaining the reasons for the occurrence of climate change, the impacts of climate change, the impacts on Pakistan, and the solution side also. How can we avoid climate change by implementing climate friendly policies, and how those policies will impact the future nations. So this is how you make thesis statement. You have restricted the your scope of your essay now by using these phrases and clauses. So this is complex sentence. This is how you make a complex sentence, by using phrases and clauses. And now you can explain your essay on these lines. You can explain your essay. You can explain the phenomena. You can explain the reasons why climate change has occurred. You can explain the effects, and you can also explain the strategies to avoid climate change and future reflection also. So this is a thesis statement of almost 80 to 90 words, and it contains 6 to 7 or 8 ideas, and it contains only two conjunctions. This is not a run-on sentence. So this is how we make a complex statement by using phrases and clauses. So keep watching, and do not forget to subscribe, because I am going to upload more videos on essay writing. Thank you so much.